Coach Farrier, with us?
Yes.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing, Coach?
Doing outstanding.
Coach, similar to last week when you mentioned your golf analogy, last week's game was similar to the week before, as the team was in the game outside of some early mistakes, but it was just the little things that separated the difference between another win and another loss. Just talk about last week's game in Norfolk.
Yeah, this week was, again, a week where there's some opportunities where we have to make some plays, and, for whatever reason, we're unable to make those plays. And, you mentioned the golf analogy again. There's several instances where, we make some mistakes at some key times, which really have nothing to do with what the defense is doing or nothing to do with what the other team is doing. There's two instances, special teams-wise, where there's no pressure on our punter and we just make a 12-yard punt. We have to find a way as coaches to, get our young men in comfortable positions where he can catch the ball, step into it, and make a 35, 40-yard punt where we have an opportunity to change field positions. One of those bad punts leads directly to an opportunity for them to score. We have two turnovers, which are, one is a fumble in the short end of the field where, instead of protecting the football, we're worried about falling on the ground, and we just let the ball go as we break our fall going to the ground. We throw an interception at a point in time where, based on our game plan and things like that, there's some things he should see, our quarterback should see and read and do, which would dictate that he goes somewhere else with the ball. And, if we go somewhere else with the ball, we got an opportunity to make a completion for a short gain or a medium gain, and then you got an opportunity to not turn the ball over and not give up opportunities for the other team to score points based off turnover. So, we've got to make sure the things and responsibilities that our kids are responsible for, number one, they understand what they are. Number two, we're explaining them in a way where they're comfortable and they understand what their job duties are, to where they can play and they can do those and execute those things fast. And then we got to get them to a point where they can do that on a consistent basis. We're at a point where we're playing 80 plays on offense and 75, 80 plays on defense, and our guys are executing their assignments 75, 80% of the time. Well, it's those 25 to 20% of the times when we're not executing properly that we're making mistakes, and those are when we're leading to giving up points and making mistakes that the other teams are capitalizing on every single one of our mistakes. So, as coaches, for me as a head coach, I got to figure out, how to get the information communicated to our coaches so that it can matriculate down to the players. The players can understand what they need to do and then be able to do it, number one. Number two, do it on a consistent basis. And then number three, get to a point where we can get into an area where we have an opportunity to dominate our opponent because we are consistently executing our assignments, on a play-to-play basis. And, we're going to continue to push these things. We've got to grow up and mature in some spots, and it is an evolving process. That process continues, and, like I told our team day one, the things that it takes to be successful are not going to change. Those guys are going to hear me repeat a lot of things because those things necessary for us to execute and do things properly, those key concepts do not change, and they're going to hear those from me going into the last game, going into the 8th game, going into the 9th game, 10th, 11th, and final game of the season. So, those guys have to get to a point where, they're hearing the message, they're taking it in, they're understanding it, and then they're converting it into execution. And we simply got to get better at that. Me as a head coach, our coaches as positional coaches and coordinators, and then we got to get that information to the players to where they can execute their assignments, and we got to find a way to eliminate the mistakes we've been making.
Well, thank you, Coach. We will now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. You will hear a 3-tone prompt to acknowledge your request. If your question has been answered and you would like to withdraw your registration, please press the 1 followed by the 3. If you're using a speakerphone, please lift your handset before entering your request. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone now. And our first question comes from the line of Mike Klingeman with the Baltimore Sun. Please go ahead, sir.
legacy of this team be?
I'm sorry, I did not hear the question.
If the season ended today, what would the legacy of this team be?
If the season ended today, I think the legacy of this team will really be missed opportunities. But, fortunately for us, we get a few more games to try to change that legacy and make it something a little bit more positive and leave our fans and followers with something a little bit more positive to remember this team by. But, at this point in time, just looking at it the way that it is, I think it's missed opportunities. As we look at these last 3 games, there have definitely been some opportunities for us to make some plays, and even our team and myself, we look at it, football is not a woulda, coulda, shoulda. You really get what you deserve based on the work that you put in and the way that you carry it to the field and execute it. But we really feel like if we're able to not make mistakes at key times, kind of execute some things that we feel like our kids have been coached to do and not play outside the schemes of what we're trying to do at certain times, we would have some opportunities to make some plays and have some opportunities to eliminate some of the scoring opportunities for our opponents, and then put ourselves in a position where we have some more opportunities to score a few more points and come out of it with a different outcome to these games. Coaching is a progression, and we've got to continue to get these kids to understand what it takes to be successful. We're not going to stop stressing the points that we feel are important to get them to where they're going, and we hope that we can take small steps and just continue to get better week to week. We've got to find a way to make something positive happen for our group. In every football game, there's going to be some type of adversity, and you hope that your football team can overcome those instances where they face adversity. And for us right now, we just have a difficult time when something negative happens to our football team, and it's been very difficult for us to pull ourselves out of it and get back on the positive side of those. We've been down in a couple of these games, and we kind of fought back in the game and not necessarily came back and taken the lead in all of them, but we haven't found a way to finish the game in the second half, in the fourth quarter, with what we're doing. But right now I think it's missed opportunities, and we've got to find a way, over the course of the next 4 games to kind of turn the tide on that and take advantage of some of the opportunities that are presented to us. And, that's going to become on some individual accountability. Guys have to take care of their responsibilities and prepare themselves in a way to where when their opportunity to make a play comes, they're prepared and they can step in and execute it. But, that's coaching, and that's part of my responsibility to make sure our coaches are preparing these guys to take advantage of those opportunities to where when we get those in the game, we can hit a long play or we can step in and break up a play that the other team executes. And we've got an opportunity to, instead of being a team that's looking at missed opportunities, we're looking at realized opportunities and then ending up on the different side of the win-loss column.
Who's quarterback this week?
Well, what we're going to do is DeAndre and Chris are going to split reps evenly. We're going to grade them every day, which is what we do anyway, and then we'll make a decision sometime on Thursday in terms of who's going to start and who we feel gives our teams the best chance to score points, get first downs, and keep our defense off the field.
What grade would you have given DeAndre for last week's game?
Ultimately, it's a failing grade because we came out on the short end of the stick. He's got 2 turnovers, which, he's got to do a much better job of. Both those turnovers come early in the game and really shift the momentum and really kind of take the wind out of our sails. I think if you take 2 or 3 plays out of the game, he's got an opportunity to be at a B+. But when you put the total work in there, you come out with a loss. You come out with 2 turnovers, which are attributable to the quarterback position. And some other things, it's definitely not where you want to be. It's definitely not a passing grade. Outside of 3 or 4 plays, I think he did a pretty decent job. He made some throws, he made some runs, and he processed some decisions quickly. There's a couple instances where he threw the ball away, which was a good thing, and just based on how we coach him and what we asked them to do. If reads in certain instances aren't there, we just ask him to throw the ball away and get to the next down, and he did that a couple times and gave us some opportunities to move the ball. At times we moved the ball very effectively up and down the field. We didn't necessarily finish drives by punching them all in the end zone, but we've got to find a way to become more consistent. We've got to find a way to clean up some things up front with our offensive line and some other areas on the field, and we've made some changes to try to correct that. And we will continue to coach and stress, the importance of technique and fundamentals to these guys so that we can protect the quarterback better, and then we can eventually get our quarterback to where he is achieving a passing grade and coming out with a win at the end of the game on Saturdays.
Thank you, Coach. I sense a frustration in your voice. It must be maddening to stand on the sideline and keep watching your team shoot itself in the foot.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit frustrating, but, at the same time, the flip side of that is it gives us an opportunity to continue to coach these guys and continue to find ways to help them get better. The great thing about college football is that no matter how bad you play, until you get to the last game of the season, no matter how bad you play, you get an opportunity to go back to practice, go back to work, and correct it and try to take another test 7 days later to show some improvements. So we had a fantastic morning of practice this morning. Our guys came out excited. They ran around. They were moving around, very good energy, and our guys are excited to try to make some corrections and get a chance to play a very good team coming in here this weekend with Bethune-Cookman. They're one of the better teams in this conference. We don't shy away from playing the better teams in this conference, and beating a team the caliber of Bethune-Cookman, regardless of whatever their record is. They're 4-time defending MEAC champion. And we look forward to the opportunity of having a chance to correct our mistakes and go out here and play a good game against a very well-coached, very good, athletic, physical football team.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And there are no further questions at this time.
Thank you, Coach, for taking time out and speaking with us this morning, and good luck as you prepare for Bethune-Cookman this weekend.
No problem, Ryan. We appreciate it. We look forward to getting back out there, correcting some of these mistakes, and trying to prove to everybody in the MEAC and the country that we're a better football team than the way we played the last 3 weeks. So we look forward to it.
Yes, sir. Talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Morgan State will host Bethune-Cookman this Saturday, November 5th. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m., and the game will be live streamed on MorganStateBears.com. We're now joined by Florida A&M head coach Alex Wood. The Rattlers fell on the road at North Carolina A&T State last weekend, and we'll have a bye weekend this week. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Good.
Well, looking at the stats and some of the game summaries, basically a forced fumble in the second quarter turned a 4-point deficit into an 11-point one late. And then there was that third quarter punt return that kind of started the rock going downhill. Could you just talk about those sequence of plays and just how little things can affect the outcome of a game?
Yeah, like we always talk about, there's about 4 or 5 maybe plays in a game that really are going to decide the outcome. And obviously those that you mentioned were one of those 4 to 5 because they obviously gave A&T field position, which a team of their caliber, at this level, they don't need any help, any assistance, but we gave it to them on those 2 plays, particular plays you described, and obviously it helped them, put points on the board. So, that made our job that much tougher. And shoot, it's just tough. When you do that in a game, a homecoming game where everybody's fired up, great atmosphere, all that good stuff, but you just can't make mistakes like that and expect positive outcomes all the time.
And could you briefly talk about the one play where you had to settle for a field goal, but reports said that was a sure touchdown pass where it could have been a 14-7 lead as opposed to a 10-7 lead early on?
Describe that one again. I'm sorry.
Play early in the second quarter where you settled for a field goal, but a report said that it could have been a potential touchdown early on. Just talk about it was the second series of the second quarter.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, no, we ended up settling like you said for the field goal. Wanted to get points. Every time we go down, in games like that, especially points are paramount, and especially in that part of the game. You're not going for it on fourth down in those situations, but we settled for 3 points, and that's kind of the way that series ended. But could have gone for it, but we chose not to.
And let's last to talk about you have a bye week coming up, and how will you take advantage of the time off?
Well, what we'll do is try to get some guys healed up, obviously, as best we possibly can during this week. Still practice, 3 days like we normally do. We'll probably, take the pads off, for 2 of the 3 days, and work on fundamentals. Correct some of the things that we did in the A&T game, and then spend some time, obviously, on Morgan State, which is our next opponent.
Thank you, Coach. We will now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone now. And there are no questions at this time.
Well, Coach Wood, take advantage of your bye week, and we look forward to speaking with you next week.
Ryan, we sure will do that, and thank you very much, and look forward to talking to you next week.
Same here.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Florida A&M is off this weekend and will return to action next Saturday versus Morgan State. Next up, we have Bethune-Cookman head coach Terry Sims. Last week, the Wildcats had a successful homecoming as they defeated Delaware State, and they will travel to Morgan State this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Excellent.
Coach, last week, special teams and your defense played a big role early on until the offense came on in the second half. Just talk about last week's game as a whole.
Well, I think, first and foremost, I got to talk about Uriel Hernandez, my kicker. He actually performed all 3 services for us last week and did an outstanding job, and he actually got Player of the Week for that. So I take my hat off to him because he stepped in and made sure that all 3 roles were taken and done with pride. So, I have to first talk about him. Then, just the guys on those units. Those guys took it, personal this week, and we challenged them to go out and told them that, they would be a huge part of this football game to make sure that we were successful. And they took the challenge and went out and took care of business. And, our defense, I would just continue to say we continue to get guys back, and I think it's only making us stronger. It's actually giving us some depth, and we can actually give some guys a break here and there during the game. And I think it's showing right now because we are winning football games because of it.
And this week you head to Baltimore to play Morgan State. Talk about Morgan State and what do you think will need to be done in order to compete against them?
Well, I think first we have to definitely play better than we played this week. I always think it's room for improvement, and we want to make sure that we play like we did in the first half for an entire game. Make sure that we eliminate the penalties, we eliminate the MAs, and make sure we're finishing plays. We're going to go up, and regardless, I never look at a record, and I don't allow our guys to look at a record and try and even think that it's going to be a factor. Because we understand that Morgan State, they're a hard-nosed, blue-collar football team. And they're going to come play. I know Coach Farrier is going to have those guys ready to go. You watch them on film, and I will say this about this conference. This conference is getting better every year. And, you have guys that may not get a lot of recognition that our players are talking about. But when you watch these guys on film, they make plays. And you got to make sure that you know where the running back is because he's a special guy, and he can take over a football game if he's allowed any type of freedom. So we got to make sure that we, number one, know where he is at all times.
And lastly, just talk about your running back, Cameron Rigby, had a 100-yard game, and just talk about his development and what he means to the offense if he's having a good game.
Well, Cameron Rigby is a definite, I think, star in the making, if you will. he's a guy that we knew had talent all along. He battled some injuries early, but he had an opportunity to get out on Saturday and show what he really had. And he's still not 100%, but he gave us everything he had, and it was good enough to help us win the football game.
Thanks, Coach. We will now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone now. And we are showing no questions at this time.
Well, Coach, before we wrap up, just talk about where the team is now just compared to a few weeks ago, as obviously you're on a winning streak and morale is up. So just talk about trying to keep that morale heading into the home stretch of the season.
Well, I'll continue to say this. I don't think we have to try and keep their morale. This group of guys, they're winners. They're used to winning. They know how to win. We just simply had to get some of our guys get some pieces back for the puzzle, and we're doing that now. And we're going to go out every day and we prepare the same way. We hadn't stopped doing anything or start doing anything new since the season started. I think we have our formula. We know it works for us, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to do that, and our guys are going to keep each other up and continue to hold each other accountable and go out and play football.
Well, thank you, Coach, for taking time out and speaking with us, and be safe as you head up north to Baltimore this weekend.
Thank you, Ryan. Have a good day.
You too. Bethune-Cookman will travel to Morgan State this Saturday at 1 p.m. The game will be live streamed on MorganStateBears.com. We will now speak with Delaware State University head coach Kenny Carter. Delaware State fell on the road last week at Bethune-Cookman and will return home to host North Carolina Central this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, last week's game was much closer than the score indicated, as turnovers was the major difference, especially in that third quarter. So talk about what took place last week as you traveled to Bethune-Cookman.
Well, first give Bethune-Cookman their credit, and Coach Sims him and his staff do a fantastic job. They've got some really good players, and but I'll say I love my team. I love my team, but we can't turn the ball over. A quarterback threw 2 interceptions, one that really kind of deflated the morale, especially when you have a young team. The interception he throws, and really, quite frankly, one of the interceptions, if he stands there and he throws the post, it's going to be a touchdown. There's nobody behind us on that, and so it's little things like that just kind of frustrate you. And then we gotta, if we just fit in the gaps we're supposed to fit, some of the runs that they had that ended up being big touchdown runs were just basic fundamental mistakes that you can't make with guys trying to do more than they really need to do if they just do their job.
And talk about Mike Waters had almost 100 yards rushing, and so just talk about his development. And you mentioned earlier in the year that you expected a lot out of him, and he's pretty much living up to the hype. So now that he's living up to it, how do you try to keep him at a level where you can expect a high rate of production each game?
Well, he's a special player. He's a special player. He's very tough. He's a little banged up. But he just keeps going, and so we just keep hitting the rock, man. That's all we're going to do. We're going to just keep going. Our kids are buying in to everything. They're really drinking the Kool-Aid of what we're trying to get done. They see the big picture. Of course, none of us are happy with our record, but we get better every week. We lose 2 starters on offense and 2 starters on defense. It's the first time in a long time we're going to go into spring practice with basically the entire, pretty much almost close to the entire starting team on offense and defense. So there's a lot of continuity, and Mike is a big part of that. Bryson Aline, same thing. He was a little dinged up. That's why we didn't play him, but he'll be back. So we're excited about everything that Mike brings to the table for us, and it just really serves as glue for what we're trying to get done.
And this week, you start a 2-game home swing as you have Central coming in, followed by A&T. Talk about North Carolina Central as you prepare for him?
Oh, Coach Mack does. Him and his staff, they do a fantastic job. You know, he's very innovative as a play caller. He's got, you know, the best quarterback in the league, who's a special player. You can just, when you watch him play, you can see he is a high football IQ. He's very savvy in what they're trying to do. You know, and you throw in the receivers that they have that are good players, a good back. The offensive line is probably, you know, in my opinion, the best offensive line in our league. They play hard. Their kids play hard on both sides of the ball and in all phases. So it's a good challenge for us. We're going to enjoy playing North Carolina Central because it gives us a very, very clear indication of our kids will know exactly, hey, this is the standard. You know, the next 2 weeks, this is the standard in our league, and we got to get to this level in order to be the kind of team that we aspire to be.
Thank you, Coach. We will now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. And we are showing no questions at this time.
Coach Carter, also talk about, this is your second year at Delaware State, and in terms of building a program, just talk about the process that it would take to get it to those standards you have set.
I think we're on track to do the things you have to, you know, and really everything in any sport is based on wins and losses. That's really the way that you see if an organization has gotten to the point that you want it to be. But our process is a lot different because of how we started and what was a necessity for us to rebuild. We basically had to empty the cupboard and restock it, and that's what we've done. And because we have so many young players, the game experience that they're getting and the things that they're learning throughout the course of the games, because we have to play so many of them, is really very valuable. And so, you know, our guys are doing all the good things that you want them to do off the field. And they're also doing some good things on the field. I mean, really, you when you look at it, if you watch the game, if you on paper you see what you see, but when you watch the game, you see a totally different deal. And so, you know, we got a team that can be competitive in our conference. We just got to be able to put it all together so that we can start acquiring wins, and then things will go in the direction that we seek.
Coach, thank you for speaking with us this morning, and good luck this weekend as you prepare to host North Carolina Central.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You too. Delaware State will host North Carolina Central this Saturday. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m., and the game will be live streamed on dsuhornets.com. We will now head to Washington, D.C., as our next call features Howard University head coach Gary Harrell. The Bison fell at Savannah State last weekend and will have their first bye weekend of the season. Good morning, Coach. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Hey, Ron. How you doing?
I'm fine. Coach, last week your team faced several obstacles but kept battling until the end. Just talk about last week's game as a whole and break it down on both sides of the ball if you can.
You know, for the most part, it was a great game. You know, I think for the spectators, I think Savannah State, hats off. You know, they definitely earned the win, and it was their homecoming, and they did a good job on both sides of the football as far as being aggressive. Good scheme and made some plays to win the ball game. Late in the game. You know, for us offensively, we came out with Jason Collins as the starting quarterback, and you know, we have to get better at that position. We're trying to find a guy that can manage the game. You know, we have Jason, we have Kalen, and right now Kalen give us a better chance as far as being effective, not losing the game. You know, Jason came in and fumbled the ball twice, and gave Savannah State a short field to work with, and you know, they took advantage of it. But we moved the ball pretty well. You know, we settled down on defense for the most part after those mistakes. And special team-wise, we had some breakdowns. We managed to fight back and take the lead. And they had a good punt return that gave them advantage on as far as going and get points. And we had them 2nd and 30 late in the game, and they had a good play with a screen that ran for like 50 yards. So we have to tackle better. With the guys are still playing hard, but it's just the small things within the game that we have to continue to work on, that we have to fix. When we get a chance to win a ball game, when we're up and it's late, in a minute 40 on the clock, no timeouts, we have to buckle down as a team. And it's just everyone. We all take responsibility. Coaches, players, we got to make sure that we win the ball game. And we came up short. Congratulations to Savannah State. Their coaching staff, they did a great job as far as putting together a drive to win the ball game.
And last, speaking of your passing game, like you said, Caleb Johnson had a good game, 278 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then Kyle Anthony had another 100-yard receiving game.
Yeah.
Just talk about the connection those two have formed throughout the season.
We definitely have a bright future with the quarterbacks that we have, and also the young receiver. Kyle Anthony is a pleasant surprise this week. If you meet him, he's an outstanding kid. He works hard on the football field. He gets out there early, work on his routes. He goes hard throughout practice. He stays late after every single practice. If there's a route that he has concern about, he's going to work on that particular route after practice, him and the quarterback. Just one-on-one, he does those things. And when you look at him in the classroom setting, he's the same type of guy. He goes to class every day. He's in study hall. He's very serious about what he's trying to get done. And there's always a pleasant surprise that you see in a young man, as a freshman that's able to do the things he's able to do. Start as a freshman and produce on the football field, but at the same time be serious and be very demanding in the classroom as far as understanding what he's trying to get done. With the injury with Anthony Farrier early in the game, he got a back contusion, so he really couldn't run the way we wanted him to run. We pretty much banged up at a running back position. And we knew in that game we had to do something against a good defense. They have a very good D-line that's very active. The linebackers are very, very coached up very well. And we had to open up the passing game. I was, with Kyle Anthony, with Mercer, and Kalen did a good job as far as delivering the ball where it needed to be. He had some open guys. He missed some open shots, but he took advantage of a lot of things in the game. And I think that really helped us, take the lead late in the game. But our passing game is definitely on the right track. We feel good about our running game. We know that Anthony Farrier gives us an opportunity to be great in that area, but we have to keep him healthy, and we have to continue to build things around him with the passing game that's going to open up the run game.
Coach, for the first time this week, we can talk about what you're going to do on your open weekend. It's been a long time coming, and I know you have 101 things planned, but just talk about what you're going to do as a team in order to take advantage of this much-needed open week.
You hit it right on the head. This week could not have come faster enough. You play 8 or 9 games consecutively, when you go back to training camp. It makes a long season, especially when you play 2 Big Ten opponents, and then you go right into a very, very good team, arch rival Hampton, and followed by Morgan, Norfolk. We play some very, very good heavy hitters, and we're banged up, but the guys, I'm telling you, they're fighting. They still believe. We have conversations all the time about the Morgan game. We lost that game at the last minute, a 1-possession score. South Carolina State, we had 5 turnovers, and we played well. We won that game. Savannah, we was up. We go out and close that game late with 1:40. That's 3 MEAC wins. Now we're sitting with 4 MEAC wins. And things look totally different. But we needed this week to kind of, just refresh mentally, most importantly. And we have some guys that's, not injured to the point where they have to miss games, but they're pretty much banged up. And for them to be able to not practice this week, because we were forced to play a game, that's going to help out as far as getting those guys and get some fresh legs. But, yeah, this is all about right now just trying to do things outside of the game, mentally to get the guys to relax, and what I've been harping on from last week to now, we just have to, just that heavy load. We have to dump that heavy load and move forward, and I think it's really going to help us out, as a team. But this definitely couldn't come fast enough. We definitely need this bye week to get the guys refreshed and recharged and finish the season.
Thank you, Coach. We will now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. Our first question comes from the line of Trevin A. Jones with SBN Sports.
Coach, good morning. How you doing this morning, Coach?
Hey, Trev, how you doing? I'm doing outstanding. Thanks for that.
Good. Coach, 90 plays. That's a lot of plays in the game. Were you aware that the Bison had the ball, had 90 offensive plays, and can you talk about that a little bit and the impact that would have on the game?
Our goal every week is to win a time of possession battle. And I think when you go back to the previous weeks, when the games we played, even Maryland and Rutgers, we've been very successful in that area. We know where we are. We're a young team with a young quarterback. Defensively, we have a lot of injuries. Missing Devin Rollins, a guy in quarterback that he led the team in tackles a couple of years ago. Both starting corners coming to the season, so we know that we have deficits on that area. Only way to have a good solid defense to help the defense is to have an offense that manages the game, don't have the turnovers, and that's something that we try to work on throughout the year. So it really didn't hit me during the game, the amount of plays that we had, but we always go into the mindset as far as taking our time, calling good plays. If we have to do a double cadence to slow the game down to get a good play, then that's what we do. But I think the third down conversions that we had helped out. We went for fourth down conversion 4 times and got it 3 times to keep the ball moving. Defensively, Savannah was 2 out of 12 on third down situations. So I think we did a good job as far as within the game, winning those certain categories. But we just the turnovers that we had early, the special teams breakdown that they had to advance the ball into plus territory really hurt us. They had 61 plays, and we had 90 plays. And when you look at the stats, that even tells you more that we got to do a better job as far as winning the game when those things are in your favor. When you have the ball more than time, as far as the time-wise, more than your opponents, then you got to make sure that you take advantage of that to win a ball game.
And, Coach, do me a favor. Talk about the mental toughness of your Bison. You've been in a number of games, as you pointed out, where you had pretty much control of a game until, the last 2 minutes of a game where things could have been different had they gone the other way.
Yeah, when we look at a couple of games, like we talked about, the season could be totally different for us right now, especially conference play. But, we're on the other side of it right now. And like you said, we have to show toughness mentally. And I told the guys we practice this morning at 6 a.m. And I told the guys, there's a lot of folks probably outside of what we have going on within our program, wondering or waiting to see if this team finally is going to turn on each other. Are they going to start pointing fingers and are they going to start quitting? But it's just not us right now. And probably last year when we had the season we had, after the Boston College game, that team, it's a total difference where we are right now. Probably a year ago, maybe we would have those concerns and issues. But this team this year, I think coming to the season, we're able to build a chemistry, a bond that is helping us out right now as far as staying together. Our thing was rise as one, and the guys, offense, defense, special teams, nobody's pointing fingers of where the problem lies. Everybody understands that we have issues. Everybody is taking accountability, as a coach, as a head coach, as a player. We understand that, we have to have self-accountability to continue to pull our way through to where we are. And I have to leave that charge as a head coach. I can't walk around and have an expression on my face and, my head down. I have to lead the charge. And it's hard times, because I am a very competitive guy. I love winning. But, I have to be able to accept this part of it and understanding where we are in order for us to continue to build this program. Yeah, we know we're in a rebuilding stage at this time, but you just don't want all the other things surrounding the game of football to show. Guys not going to class, guys not going to study hall, guys not being where they should be, being undisciplined. Because when you watch us play, it's not like we are an undisciplined team. We're not getting all the penalties. We're just not making the plays at the crucial time. We're in position to make the plays. So now we have to coach our guys up, or we have to find a guy that can get it done to make those plays. But we're getting better and better. And like I said, there's no such thing as a more victory. But we look within what we're trying to get done as a program. And right now we like what we see in our guys. Outside the record. Sometimes the win-loss record don't really show or give a reflection of a team, a true reflection. But we know that we can play better. We know we should have some games and more games in the win column, and we just got to do better.
And, Coach, I know it's only Tuesday. When do you get to take a breath? Like, when do you get to exhale before you start preparing for Central, which is going to be a tough road trip, not this weekend, but the weekend following?
Yeah. We're doing some things this week also to prepare for Central. We're going to utilize this week and next week. Central's a very good team, especially on the defense side of football. They're very active. They play very low. They have a very good quarterback. They have very good scheme. They believe in what they believe in, and it's the reason why they're undefeated, in the conference. But yeah, we'll take our time to slow things down. We went today. We'll go tomorrow, and we're going to even go on Thursday. We'll get the guys off Friday and Saturday, a couple of days to just relax. But we're not going to do a whole lot of banging. We're going to work on techniques and fundamentals. We have to get better at tackling. On that second and 30, we throw the screen. We tackle. If guys understood leverage on their play as far as using their teammates, to turn the guy back to his teammate to his help. We make that play and it give us a better chance. Not saying we win the ball game, but it gives us a better chance. Where they're off if we make that tackle to win that ball game. So it's just small things we want to continue to work on. Ball control, 4-minute offense. So it's a lot of things that we still believe that we can get better within the game, and so we'll do those within the next 2 days, and we'll take a break and come back next week and really turn it back up and get ready for Central.
And my last question, Coach, I know coaches say that you have a week off during a bye week, but I don't believe you head coaches really take the time off. Like you said, you're going to give the players a day out Saturday. What do you do on Saturday?
Right. Well, we stay in grind mode. We understand that it's, on this level, we have to wear multiple hats, and we have to make sure that one, the kids are going to class, that they're not, taking advantage of the time that they have off. They have practice, they have meetings, weights, and things of that nature. So we want to give them a couple of days to relax mentally. And it's been a long season for us. We've had 8 or 9 straight weeks without a break. So we want to give them a chance to break. But for coaches, for us, like I said, I'll be on the road Wednesday. As soon as we got to practice on Wednesday, because on Thursday we'll have a strength conditioning coach with the team and is strictly doing conditioning with them. And so myself and my coaching staff, we'll be on the road trying to find some talent. We utilize the bye week to get out and any kids that we've been talking to and trying to close deals and go watch those kids play, continue to build a relationship and hopefully bring them to Howard University in February on signing day. So we'll get out this week to continue to recruit. So when the season is over, we get back out in December. But it don't stop for us. We have to make sure that everything is covered, outside the game. Even though there's no game this week, there's still so much that has to be done to prepare for not only this game, but for the future games that's coming this season and also for 2017.
Thanks, Coach. I always appreciate you. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Hey, thank you, brother.
And there are no further questions at this time.
Coach, thank you once again for calling in this morning. And I want to call it your weekend off, but Trevin summed it up pretty well. Enjoy your time away from the football field as you work on off-the-field duties for your program.
Hey, thank you, Ryan. You have a good day.
You too. Howard University is off this weekend and will return to action next week at North Carolina Central. We will now move on to Norfolk, Virginia, as we're joined by Norfolk State University head coach Latrell Scott. The Spartans defeated Morgan State last weekend for homecoming and head south to Savannah State this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, Ryan, how are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Just working on the next one, man.
Coach, last week you had a successful homecoming game as you pretty much everyone did well in all facets of the game. Just talk about last week's game versus Morgan State.
Well, extremely proud of our team and our staff. We needed to win for our program. Not a lot of people outside of our building, still had a ton of belief in us as far as the rest of the season. But you have to credit our kids and our coaches for coming out and playing as hard as they could possibly play. And it's a game where Norfolk State finally played decent football for 3.5 quarters. So proud of the way the guys responded, and hopefully we can continue versus Savannah this week.
And speaking of Savannah State, you head down there this weekend, and like you, they're coming off an emotional homecoming win. So talk about Savannah State and what you've seen from them in your preparation.
Well, you have to be, appreciative of the way that their kids have played and, the changes that the coaching staff has made. And there's a sense of belief down there, and those guys, feel like they can win football games. And that's something that you probably hadn't seen in the past. Both of their wins have come off of bye weeks, which says a lot about their coaching staff doing a great job preparing those guys, for the next week's opponent. And they do some things both offensively and defensively to try to confuse you. So we'll have to make sure that we're sound in all phases of the game to try to be successful.
And talk about the player Greg Hankerson last week. Had a big role in your win. And what did he do well that caught your eye?
Well, Greg was solid. As an offensive staff, we did some things to try to take some things off of Greg's plate, just letting him know that he didn't have to be Superman. So some of the reads and some of the decisions that he had to make, we took him away, and he was able to be more successful. He got some big plays from our skill guys, our young wide receivers, Marcus Taylor and Chuma Wana and George Wahi all made big plays for him. Gerard Johnson made some big plays for him out of the backfield, and Greg made some big plays for himself. So when he can get help from our other skill guys, it definitely gives us the ability to score more points and be more successful.
And lastly, I was reading a report this week, and you mentioned the team had a chance to meet a celebrity before the game. So just talk about, do you think that had an added boost to the momentum coming out the locker room, or it was just the homecoming atmosphere in general?
We got a chance to meet JB, and he was very positive and supportive of our team. If he was the guy that brought us some luck, then we'll take him back on a weekly basis. But I think more than anything, homecoming gives our guys an opportunity to see how successful graduates of the institution are. And when people can go out and do whatever they want to do in the world and be successful and still come back and be Norfolk State people, it speaks volumes. So I think, giving our guys the ability to meet someone like that and someone like that wanting to be around our team is it's a big deal for us. But, I don't want to take any of the credit away from the kids because they prepared and they did the work and they went out and won the game.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. And our first question comes from the line of Trevin A. Jones of SBN Sports. Please proceed with yours.
Coach Scott, how you doing, Coach?
Good, Trevin. How about you?
I'm doing well, sir. Thanks for asking. And, Coach, Savannah State, probably the best record they've had in a while already, and a load of confidence. Is there anything aside from that raises your eyebrows when you're about to take on the Tigers?
Well, confidence is huge, and when you have confidence, it gives you the ability to do things that you may not be able to do otherwise. But I think they're a well-coached football team. When you look at what they're doing on offense and on defense, like I said, schematically, they do some things to make you work as a staff. You have to be prepared. They'll play multiple defensive fronts. They'll get into multiple formations out of different personnel groups on offense. So it's a different team, and you can tell that they do, as you said, have confidence. And it's still a young bunch. They've got some talented football players. So I think their best football is still ahead of them. But I feel the same way about our team. And we're a young football team, and we're still improving. So it'll be it'll be a good football game between two win teams.
And, Coach, in this past game against Morgan State, it looked like you had a bit of consistency. You guys are scoring each quarter. Talk about the balance that you had in your attack and the consistency that you saw. And correct me if I'm wrong when I'm saying consistency as far as the Spartans were concerned.
Well, consistency, Trevor, has been a word that we've used all year long, and we haven't been very consistent. It was the first time that we scored points in the third quarter all year long, and we scored 14 points in the third quarter. So it was the first game all season, like you said, that we were able to score points in every quarter. We were 4 for 4 in the red zone. Defensively, we created turnovers, and we with the exception of one bad play on special teams, we played very well on special teams. So, as I said earlier, it was the first time that we put together something close to a complete game.
Coach, thank you for your time, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, man. Take care.
And there are no further questions at this time.
Coach Scott, I'll try to work to make sure you have some assistance in Savannah this week with the celebrities. But besides that, just good luck this weekend as you head down to Savannah, and look forward to talking with you once again next week.
Thank you, man. Take care. You
too. Norfolk State will head to Savannah State this weekend as kickoff is set for 5 p.m. The game will be live streamed on SSUathletics.com. We will now talk with Hampton University head coach Connell Maynor. Hampton defeated South Carolina State last week and is off this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm fine. Yourself?
Good. Hanging in there.
Yeah, Coach, well, they say it's football weather out here. It's just cold to me, so I don't know how it is for you down on the bay. But last week, as the game started, you came out quickly, came out hot, and you overcame some adversity midway through the game to finish up strong. So talk about last week and the effort you received from the Pirates.
It was a great effort. I thought our guys showed a lot of intentional fortitude, the way they came back and fought after losing a game on the road at FAMU. And it really was a must-win for us, to have any kind of chance and keep ourselves an opportunity to have a winning season. We know it's going to be a good football team. Coach Pough does a great job, him and his staff, getting his guys ready to compete. And they're always there competing for a championship. And so they come in undefeated, and we knew it was going to be a dogfight, and we had to play our best. And we played pretty good in order to win the game.
And you had two receivers combined for 254 yards, and that's Rashawn Proctor and Twan Mixon. Just talk about their play last week, and how does that elevate everyone around them when they come out and have that type of production?
Well, Proctor's been doing it all season. Mixon did it all last year, and he's been slow this year to defenses, and then Proctor emergency. But Mixon has been banged up the last couple of weeks a little bit, and he hasn't been 100%. But we played him anyway, and he tried to fight through it. But he was probably back this week to close he's been since probably week 3 to being full speed, and it showed. I thought I saw that Tuesday in practice that he was back to full speed, and I told him I was glad to have him back Tuesday. He was back full speed, and I thought he would respond and have a good game, and he did.
And Robert Scott was named co-rookie of the week. Had 8 tackles, forced fumble, interception, and he had that key turnover late in the game that kind of gave some momentum back to y'all. So just talk about his development and what did he do at this time of the year for you?
Well, he's going to be a great player. He's just a freshman, and he's been making some plays, and he's been in there from the beginning of the season. So we expect him to make plays like that. And this time of the season, he's not a freshman anymore. So we turned the ball over, and then Scott came right back the next play and got an interception, got us the ball back, and it was a huge play because they was in our territory. So you never know when a big play gonna come your way, and that was a big play in the game, and to turn the momentum back in our favor. So he had an outstanding game.
And lastly, you have a bye weekend this week, and just talk about what you plan on doing as you prepare for the home stretch of the season starting next week.
So we just got to take care of business, do a little self-scouting on ourselves, and go back to the drawing board, tackling the fundamentals this week, that we don't play. Make sure we stay in shape. You don't want to not do anything and get out of shape with 3 games left. So we just got to take care of ourselves and do a little bit of self-scouting and try to get the guys back healthy as much as possible.
Thank you, Coach. We will now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone now. And we are showing no questions at this time.
Well, Coach Maynor, thank you for taking time out and speaking with us, and I look forward to speaking with you next week.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you.
Hampton University is off this weekend, and they will return to action next weekend versus Savannah State. As we attempt to locate Savannah State head coach Erik Raeburn, we will now move on to South Carolina State head coach Pough. The Bulldogs last week fell to Hampton and will return to action this Saturday as they travel to North Carolina A&T State this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm here. I just got beat up this weekend and, kind of licking our wounds that way. But besides that, we okay.
Well, Coach, watching the game, obviously it came down to special teams and turnovers. So just talk about how those facets affected the remainder of the game from that point.
Well, I think you said it all in a nutshell there. It came to some special teams and some turnovers, but I got to take my hat off to Hampton, Coach Maynor and his crowd. I thought they did a nice job, and they beat us. And their kids played hard, and they coached better. They deserved to win the football game. We had opportunities to get back in it and made our way back in it. And it could have been one of those kind of games where we'd have won the football game, and I'd have still said the same thing as far as the fact that we probably shouldn't have won the game. So we actually didn't this time. So. Lots of times when they're close like this and we had opportunities, we miss a field goal, a short field goal, we miss a PAT. I'd probably say, that those things made all the difference in the world. But, the bottom line was Hampton deserved to win the football game.
And this week doesn't get any easier as you're back on the road again. For some reason, it seems like every week you're on the road. You play North Carolina A&T State. And I know everyone talks about the success Erik has had. You've had against Erik, but talk about other people on the Aggies that people may normally overlook that you have to watch out for this weekend.
Well, that their entire team, both offensively and defensively, are playing exceptionally well. They've now started to, I think, maybe settle in, at the quarterback position. They kind of went back and forth for a while between Raynard and the Romero kid, and both guys are big, strapping, tall kind of guys. But I think the young guys kind of taking over, and you can kind of see that they settle in with his style of attack. So I think they've got the entire package now. They've got tight ends. Their wide receivers are exceptionally good football players. They're big, good-looking guys too, and they look like a big-time college football team. So, I've got to, really make sure that we do all we can to be prepared for A&T coming in this weekend, because on both sides of the ball and in the kicking game, they seem to play very, very well.
And lastly, talk about Demontrez Burrows. He's popped up out of nowhere, had 7 receptions for 133 yards. Just talk about who he is and what do you expect from him going further.
Well, Demontrez is from Charlotte. He's from West Mack High School, and we had him show you how much we know what we're doing on defense for most of the year, and had him redshirted. And because we run a little short and scout team players, we started to kind of use him a little bit over there as a scout team guy. And he just continued to stick out that way. So we were having some problems at the wide receiver position. We playing so many young guys until we felt like, well, what the heck, let's try this guy a little bit. So we stick him in there against Delaware State, and he gets, maybe 2. The first time he touched the ball, he goes like 60 yards for a score. And then of course this weekend he comes back and has 140, 150 yards worth of reception. So, he's a good football player, and he's exactly what we needed in a way where we needed a go-to receiver. Looks like he's going to be the guy, that we can kind of lean on for a long time to come.
Thank you, Coach. We will now take questions from the media.
Our first question comes from the line of Don Adwari with Box to Row. Please proceed with your question.
Good morning, Coach Pough. How are you, sir?
Is this Don Ware?
It's me.
Hey,
yes,
Don,
sir.
how you doing, man? What's up?
I'm doing good.
I couldn't figure out who that Don Ware guy was.
I know.
Yeah, go for it.
I know. Yes, sir. Looking to see what both Adrian Collick and then Caleb York bring to you in terms of each guy, in terms of your quarterback position.
Well, both guys run similar style offenses. We feel like Collick is a little more athletic, and Caleb's is a little bit better passer. But we do the same set of things with both, so it's not like we think one guy is totally a runner and one guy is totally a passer. So, it's kind of a field deal, how we play them, and we playing both of them. We like the way that both of them play at times. So we just kind of move around and try to see if we can see who gets hot for us.
You've always had really good defenses, but how has the defense been this year without a guy like Javon Hargrave?
Well, we obviously hadn't played quite as well as we did the previous year. But at times, this has been your regular traditional South Carolina State defense. We just don't quite have, the experience and depth that we've had in the past. Our defensive front, from times, will go from almost being totally freshman to, maybe having an upperclassman or two. So we're playing a lot of young guys, in the box that way. And, when you have those kinds of situations going on, then it takes a little while for them to kind of get their feet up on them a little bit.
Can you talk about the play and the leadership that your linebacker Darius Leonard brings to the table?
Well, Darius is exactly that. He's the leader, of our bunch over there. Our linebackers in general are the experience of that defensive team. Darius, Deshaun Taylor, and Tyler Smith all have gotten, close to finishing up here. And, they've played enough ball now that we kind of lean on them to be, kind of the leaders on that defensive side. And they know how we've done things over the years and understand what it takes to be, a top-notch defense. So we kind of let them lead that way. And, at times this year they played very, very well, all of them.
And can you lastly speak to why you've been able to have the success you've been able to have in stopping Tariq Cohen when others have not?
I don't know if that's so much the case as is just we just try to play good, sound defense and kind of let the chips fall where they may. We do recognize where he's at. Anytime a guy, has had the success that he's had in this league, you better have some kind of idea, how to give a guy, a little extra attention that way. But, besides that, it's been maybe a kind of a freak kind of circumstance of sorts. I don't know why. They don't necessarily seem to be able to, put together the numbers against us that they put together against some of the other teams. But, let's hope it doesn't happen this time. This is the last time. I'm hoping we can hurry up and get his butt out of here so we don't have to see him again.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks.
All right, Donald.
Our next question comes from the line of Tevin A. Jones with SBN Sports. Please proceed with your question.
Coach Pough, how you doing, Coach?
Fine, Trevin. How you?
I'm doing well. I'm only going to ask one question, Coach, because I know
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Is that was it? You done?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Coach,
all right, what you got?
Talk about the mental toughness of your Bulldogs. I mean, you played on the road one home game this season so far, but you get to finish at home the last 3 games of the season. How's that affected your team mentally at this point?
Well, we really don't mind going on the road that much, and at the beginning of the year, we sort of had, an opportunity prior to the year to kind of prepare ourselves for the fact that we were going to be all over the place for a bit. But now, you know, what's kind of caught us by surprise a little bit is the fact that we didn't get a chance to play that Bethune game at home, so that's one less opportunity to play at home that we would have ordinarily had, and that's been a little bit of an issue. You know, we'd like to have had at least 2 games at home, but you know, it is what it is. We got to dance with the circumstances as we find them. And you know, our guys, you know, our process is good. You know, we stay in good places. We eat pretty good. You know, we get a sequestered kind of style of atmosphere, you know, with our team the night before on the road. So there's some good in it. It's just that you just got to drive so far sometimes before you get to these places.
All right, Coach. Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, Trevor. Appreciate you guys.
And there are no further questions at this time.
Well, thank you all very much. Y'all have a good day. Ryan, y'all do good this weekend.
Oh, you too, Coach. Thank you. See you next week.
All right, bye-bye.
South Carolina State will travel to North Carolina A&T this Saturday. The contest will kick off at 1 p.m. The contest will also be streamed on NCATAggies.com. That's NCATAggies.com. And we will now move further south to Savannah, Georgia, as Savannah State University head coach Erik Raeburn joins us. The Tigers defeated Howard University last weekend for their first win against Howard in series history and their first multiple-win MEAC season since joining the conference. Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
Coach, I take it you enjoyed homecoming, and it ended on a positive note as you had a thriller against Howard. So just talk about the game and the ups and downs as you started off early and had to hold on for some adversity, but then your freshman quarterback pulled it out for the win.
Yeah, you know, obviously we got off to a really good start, but Howard definitely had all the momentum late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter, and so it was kind of a roller coaster. But I guess that made us have a little more pride in our players. The fact that we did have to, you know, kind of battle back through some adversity to come back and win. So, you know, I had multiple people tell me that, man, you know, in the past, you know, when things started going the other team's way, you know, we just never seemed to be able to recover. And so that, yeah, I've had other people tell me how impressed they were that our guys just kept hanging in there and battling. And obviously, as a coaching staff, we were real proud of that too.
Now, speaking of that, are the players aware of what's going on around them in terms of the history that's being made and just the opportunity to be playing meaningful football this late in the year?
You know, I know I've heard several of our seniors, you know, I think they're, you know, they're hopeful that, you know, they've been the guys who have stuck it out, you know, and so, you know, they were really excited to win homecoming, you know, to get a win on homecoming, you know, as a senior, and so I think maybe they're a little more aware of it than maybe the majority of our team.
And talk about your freshman quarterback. Had a big play last weekend and was named co-rookie of the week as his play with seconds left iced the game for you. So just talk about his development and where he came from, and then what you like to see him finish the year out with.
Yeah, you know, obviously I feel like he's improving. You know, I felt like he's played well, you know, all season. You know, it just doesn't always show in the statistics. You know, we like we've talked before on some of these calls. You know, we haven't been happy with how we've blocked up front, and this past Saturday, you know, was much better, and so his stats kind of bared that out. But you know, we feel like he's been making good decisions with the football. He did have one turnover, but our receiver ran the wrong route on that on the one interception that he threw, so it wasn't completely on him. He was expecting the receiver to break to a different spot, and so if you took away that interception, I thought he played outstanding. You know, I think he completed over 50% of his passes, and made some big throws in critical situations. Obviously the touchdown at the end of the game was huge, and he had a couple other completions on that drive to get us down there to give us that opportunity. And he had a rushing touchdown, so he helped us with his arm and his feet both. Hello?
Coach, you hear me?
I got you now, yep.
Okay, yes, sir. It was on mute by accident. Just talk about this time of year. You've been in the north pretty much your whole life, and now you're coaching down south. So just talk about the difference in the environments and especially just the type of football you've been able to see over the course of your life.
Yeah, geez, it's it has been an adjustment. We typically where I've spent most of my coaching career, at the end of October, you're not worried about whether guys are going to be cramping up, and your D linemen, you can typically give them more snaps. They don't need to rotate as much because it's not as hot. But man, Saturday I think it was like 85. So it's still you really have to coach a little differently and substitute more often to try and keep those guys fresh for that fourth quarter. So that's been a big change. I took my youngest daughter trick or treating last night, and it was 87 degrees out, and I've never had that problem at Halloween, but I kept trying to convince her to go home because I was getting worn out walking all over the neighborhood in 87 degree temperatures. But so it is a lot different. Obviously I've been real impressed with the play. The speed. Out there on the field, the athleticism of the D linemen has been really impressive. So there's been a lot of differences, but obviously the heat this time of year. The weather this time of year has been a big change.
Well, thank you, Coach. We'll now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. Our first question comes from the line of Trevin A. Jones, SBN Sports. Please proceed with your question.
Coach, how you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well.
Coach, Sean Spalding, how important has he been to your program, and how impressed are you with his performance?
Yeah, I felt like, this was definitely his best game he's played since I've been here, but, I was really impressed with him, from day one, from watching him on film last year. We knew he was an athletic guy, explosive guy, and, definitely a guy we want to have his hands on the football, and he had a couple incredible runs for us. He broke a sweep for a long touchdown early in the game, and then he actually late in the game on the game-winning drive, he had a huge reception. It was almost all yards after the catch. It was a real short pass, but and he made the rest of it happen, and kind of set us up. TJ completed a couple more passes and then threw the touchdown pass, but it got us deep in their territory, in field goal range at least, and so he had a really good game on Saturday, and but we've been really impressed with just his skill set, and we feel like we feel like we just got to try and get him different ways to get his hands on the football, because if he gets enough opportunities, he'll make something good happen.
And, Coach, I'll stay in that game that you're talking about this past weekend. How impressed were you with number 81 for the Bison, Kyle Anthony, the receiver?
Yeah, he had a great day against us, obviously, and I knew he was a good receiver on film, but man, it's just looking over there in warm-ups, he was even bigger than I thought, bigger, more physical than I realized just off of watching film, and so he gave us some fits, and obviously their quarterback played well. I was really impressed with him also. Going into the game, we were really terrified of their running back, number 7. We did okay. He didn't play as much. I think he must be, kind of nursing an injury or something, so he didn't play as many snaps as he probably normally does. But we did okay defending the run. Between their quarterback and 81 at receiver, they really hurt us in the passing game.
And then this weekend you have to face a pretty good quarterback in Greg Henderson with Norfolk State. What's your impressions of him?
Yeah, we it seems like we have their, whoever we play, it seems like they have played Norfolk State before we play them. So we have seen them a lot on film, and as we're watching our opponent's defense, and I've been really impressed with him. He's an excellent passer. He can hurt you with his feet. He has done a great job running their offense. Obviously has played in a lot of MEAC games, so real experienced, and played really well last week against Morgan State, and I really feel like they have an excellent defense.
Coach Raeburn, appreciate your time, Coach. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And we are showing no further questions at this time.
Coach Raeburn, thank you for taking time out and speaking with us this morning, and good luck as you prepare to host Norfolk State this weekend.
All right, thank you.
Savannah State will play host to Norfolk State this Saturday at 5 p.m. The game will be live streamed on SSUathletics.com. We will now head to Greensboro, North Carolina, as North Carolina A&T State head coach Rod Broadway joins us. The Aggies defeated Florida A&M last weekend for homecoming and will host South Carolina State this weekend in a big showdown. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ron. How you doing?
Fine. How you doing?
Man, I'm good. Thank you.
Coach, last week Florida A&M was tough early on until, like you've always been saying over years, special teams and defense made big plays to take control of the game and set it up for your offense. So talk about those areas last week during the win over Florida A&M.
Okay. It was a good win for us, and, defensively I thought we played fairly well. Offensively, we played well, and I thought kicking game we did some good things. We turned the ball over twice and scored in the zone down there. That's 4 in 2 games that we've done that, so we got to get that fixed. But, Florida A&M made a lot of progress, I think, as a football team, gotten a lot better. So we're grateful to get out of there with a win.
And this week you have South Carolina State, and everyone pretty much knows the history between you two. From what you've seen on film, just talk about South Carolina State and what you have to do in order to be successful.
We actually somehow tried to block those guys. We hadn't had a whole lot of success blocking them in the past, and our offensive line need to play much better. Our perimeter blocking's got to get much better, and we got to give Tyreek an opportunity to make some plays. Just watch last year's tape, and shoot, he takes the hand off. There's 3 guys sitting there waiting on him. So, they kicked that butt up front, and we got to be better this year. But I think we're a better football team than we were last year. So we're looking forward to the challenge and seeing if we can get a first down or 2 against these guys.
And what do you think, just by playing South Carolina State, you mentioned they're hard to block at times. Is it the physical play, or they scheme well, or just a combination of both, as traditionally you've had some struggles against them?
Oh, well, they have some good players. The linebackers are really good. The defensive front's really good. They run well. And, it's good scheme and it's good athletes. You put those two together and get them in the right gaps and the right fields, and you have a hard time. But, we hadn't been very good against these boys offensively. The last couple of years, I think we're averaging 4.5 points a game last 2 years. And, we scored 9 last year and 0 the year before. So we've got to come out and try to figure out how to get something going offensively this year.
And lastly, this is your home finale, and I know a lot of emotions will be on the field as this is is this your first true senior class since you returned to Greensboro?
It is, Ryan, and this is our 6th year, but the first year we got here after recruiting was over, so we didn't sign anyone. Then the next year, I think we signed 7 players, and then the following year we had some scholarships and we had signed some guys. So this is really our first class as as a staff here, and I'm extremely proud of these guys and what they've been able to do and help get this program up and running again.
And lastly, I want to expound on that is I know I've read the article. You mentioned everyone's saying this is it for them, but you want more games to play. So just talk about this group and the motivation going on from this point forward as you have South Carolina State and Central coming up.
And Delaware. We have 3 games left now. We have Delaware State.
Okay.
So, we're just going to prepare like we do all the time and go out and try to give ourselves a plan to be successful against South Carolina State, and we don't worry about anything after that. We just try to stay focused on the now. And right now we got a challenge ahead of us because South Carolina State's pretty good, and we got to prepare. And on top of that, they've had our number here. They was out since we've been here. So we've got to get better, and we need to play better against these guys.
Well, thanks, Coach. We will now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone now. Our question comes from the line of Tevin A. Jones, SBN Sports. Please proceed with your question.
Coach Broadway, how you doing, Coach?
Man, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm always well, Coach. Thanks for asking. Hey, Coach, I always like to get your impression on players. And looking at the other side of the ball, South Carolina State, Darius Leonard and Tyler Smith, those 2 linebackers. What's your impression of them as you get ready to face them this weekend?
They're good, both of them. They run well, has range, size, really outstanding players. And we can't block them, so we got to figure out a way to move the ball because those guys has been outstanding against us, and we got to find out a way to get their eyes in the wrong place a couple of times and just try to get a hat on the hat this year and try to create some movement, give Tyreek a chance to make a play against them.
And speaking of Tyreek, Coach, you got 2 big tackles. Both of them, I think, are 6'7", and Tyreek tends to disappear behind them. Talk about the play of your offensive line in those tackles.
Okay, I think we've gotten better offensive line-wise. I think that's been one of our weaknesses, but I think we've taken some steps to get better, and I think we understand schemes and angles and, hat on a hat now. But, Brendan Parker is probably one of the best offensive linemen in this conference, and he's done an outstanding job for us. And, West Coast, the other senior over there, he's gotten better and better, and, and I have to give Coach Mattis a lot of credit because he's done a good job with these guys as far as getting them coached up.
Thank you, Coach, for your time. Appreciate you, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we are showing no further questions at this time.
Coach Broadway, we thank you for taking time out and joining us this morning, and good luck this weekend as you prepare to host South Carolina State.
All right, Ryan, I appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You have a good one.
You too. North Carolina State will host South Carolina State this weekend for Senior Day, and it's their home finale. The contest will be live streamed at ncataggies.com and will kick off at 1 p.m. by North Carolina Central head coach Jerry Mack. The Eagles were off this weekend, had a much-needed bye week, and they're back on the gridiron this week as they prepare to face Delaware State. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ryan.
Coach, I know we're ahead of schedule, so thanks for accommodating us. And just talk about your bye week and what did you accomplish during the time off last week?
I think the biggest thing is it gave us an opportunity to get some guys healthy, to clean up a lot of the bumps and the bruises, and basically give our guys some rest, some much-needed rest after playing for 8 weeks straight. You can just imagine the guys were tired, guys were worn out a little bit. So that bye week really allowed us to look at some of our young guys, really get those guys in practice. Some guys that have not been taking as many reps throughout the last course of the few weeks to get a look at those guys as well.
And this week, you're back in action. You have Delaware State, and Delaware State, like a lot of people have said, they're better than their record indicates. Some great young talent. So talk about how do you match up against the Hornets?
Extremely good football team as far as you can see the growth each and every week from those guys. Coach Carter's done a good job of assembling his guys and the guys that he feels like he can build a program with, and you can see the talent. They have two really nice running backs that have really been productive this season. They've had some quarterback situations. They played a couple of guys, but both of them have came in the game and they sparked and flashed and showed some really good things. Defensively, they're still flying to the ball, and then on special teams, Coach Carter's a special teams guru, and he does a good job with that group, and you can see them making strides. And for us, we have to go out there and we got to play our brand of ball. We just can't give them we can't turn the ball over and give them cheap penalties and things like that.
And defensively, once again, we mentioned Reggie Hunter's name last week during the Player of the Week. And he didn't play this week, but it seemed like each week is a different man up. Has that been the philosophy going into the season, or has just been the way the chips fell?
Just kind of the way the chips fall. We preach all the time. We practice and we travel X amount of number of guys, and we don't practice or we don't travel just for fun. We're always getting guys ready to participate in games, or getting them ready for when their opportunity presents itself. And, Reggie is a young man. He's been playing really good all year, to be honest with you. It just had a situation a couple of weeks ago where he had an opportunity to come in and make some key plays, and, he was at the right place at the right time. And he'll continue. He's just a junior, so he'll continue to get better. And, we're looking forward to great things from him in the future.
And with the season winding down towards the home stretch, just talk about the mindset of the team as it's just one game each week, and how do you keep them grounded from not trying to look too far ahead?
We've been in this situation before the last couple of years. We always usually play pretty well down the stretch after we've had some rest, and as the focus tends to increase because they can kind of see that the end is near, and some of their dreams and goals that they set at the beginning of the season start to become more realistic during this time of the season. So, we don't really worry about, down the road. The only thing we know is Delaware State is a road game. Got to go to an environment that's unfamiliar to us, and we have to do a great job of trying to come away with a win in that environment.
Thank you, Coach. We will now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. We are showing no questions at this time.
Well, lastly, Coach Mack wants just also talk about on offense. Everyone I know was probably asking about the player in the health of Malcolm Bell. How is he at this point, and what do you expect to see from him this weekend?
Malcolm's 100%. We're back on the field today. He'll be practicing with us. Biggest thing I expect from Malcolm is just to pick up where he left off before he got injured against the Morgan State game. He was playing extremely well. He was completing some passes. He was running around, moving the chains, and his game won't change at all. I mean, that's been his game for the last 3 years now, and we're gonna continue to move forward. And he took a nice little shot, but he's back and ready to go. So he's a fearless competitor, and he wants to finish out his senior season the right way. So we're gonna go with him, and he's fine.
Well, thank you, Coach, for taking time out and speaking with us, and good luck this weekend as you head north to Dover, Delaware.
Thank you.
Once again, North Carolina Central had a bye last weekend and will return to action this Saturday at Delaware State. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m.